Crap Live, and here we go. Are we live? Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap Live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Think you can hear me? Can you hear me? That's a little low. Am I live? Hey, what's up? Oh, that's me. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone tonight. Hello, Nina Garcia. Thank you for being the first person. Bruce Parker, Nutso Studios 2012, Nathaniel Foga, Cornbread. I hope you got to make your sandwich. Ella, I saw that before. Bruce Parker, Ella Kasari, Robot Lobax, Sleepy Cat Fork, Sleepy Time Fork Cat Productions, Twisted Razor, Austin K Master, Super Dive Minion, Austin Purple Goop. Oh, the kids have spoken. Wonder Woman 84 better than Doolittle. I mean, I can't argue with that. And with that, I guess that is my cue to do the fade. And hello, thank you very much for the first super chat of the night, TuneJ723. And I had heard about the Kids' Choice. Cheers to you. Oh, hey, Disco Spider. Happy birthday to you as well. And Dominic Smith and Paige Howard and El Mono Loco. Yes. I mean, the kids showed that Wonder Woman 1984 better than Doolittle. What a compliment. I'm surprised Doolittle... I mean, didn't... I read from what Ryan told me that Robert Downey Jr. won and then got slimed, which I think is appropriate because, you know. Anyway, I'm excited for the review of The Crew with Kevin James. Frank Clark, enjoy watching The Wire. I'm sure that is better than the stream. I'm curious what season or episode you're on. I don't know, Black Sea. Cheers to you. First off, I'm not sure when I'll review The Crew. Maybe at some point I'll review the first episode. I'm not sure when, but maybe at some point. Now, I guess I could have this week, but I chose not to. But yeah. Cheers to you. Max Landis just uploaded a video defending. I heard some of what he said. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I had kind of a chilled out week. What about Disenchantment? I have not seen much about Disenchantment since season 1. I really haven't kept up with it at all. I don't know if I'll get to that. I'm sort of making my way through Harley Quinn before the Snyder Cut and Falcon and Winter Soldier hit. And then after that, I really kind of want to go through Avatar again before that gets bigger than, I want to be more well versed. I need to finish, oh, hey, Will's here. I wanted, what was it? Avatar and, Full Metal Alchemist. I've been needing to do that. And a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, Disenchantment gets better. Maybe I should watch it anyway. But what episode of Harley Quinn? I have no clue right now. Well, anyway, what I was saying is I was kind of off this week, so I was having fun. I have no clue where I am. Blue people or Airbender? Airbender. So, we had a nice week. Went to the beach. Celebrate Sophie's birthday. She's 4. That was pretty cool. What did I get Sophie for her birthday? Oh, well, she got a bike. And that was a lot of fun. And a cake, and so many things. She had a really great birthday, I think. And it was, in general, just a fun time. But I feel like my brain's a little, like, bleh, because I've been, like, not, being at the full-time thing. I'm just, So thus is why there was not really a premiere for Close Enough Season 2, because I was, like, editing too slow and so forth. But yeah, it's been a really good family week, I have to say. Really good family week in terms of that. Slow movie news week, I feel. Although there's things to talk about, but I guess because the Oscar nominations do come out Monday, and I'm probably going to do something. I'm not sure if that'll be during the day or at night. Check my Twitter or keep your notifications on. I know I say that it's not just a promotional thing, but if that's something you want to know. Daylight Savings is tonight. Does that mean we get an extra hour or less than an hour? I don't think we get an extra one. It's not the extra one. Oh, there's a cat playing with something in the hall. Can you hear that? I might have to get up at some point. Sounds like I should get up and take care of that. Are they going to stop? Maybe that was an isolated incident. Anyway, okay. We lose an hour? Oh, that sucks. All right. I got to go stop an annoying noise. I will be right back. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. No, it was the cat was playing with I think a whistle, basically. Oh man. Ugh, cards dropping. Already thrown off. This is a show, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, anywho. It was a fun week. Yeah, the beach was, we're in the Rockaways. It was amazing beach. I really liked it. I don't know. Had a great time. Had a really good week, I would say. Been a nice week. Nice little break there. But, yeah, in terms of movies, we did watch Ted Lasso. That is, I did get a haircut. Oh yeah, that's what I did this week. Blah. I did get a haircut, which I think I needed because I don't like to be moving my hair too much during the stream. They're not new cards. I just dropped them. Did I say new cards? I'm stupid. But, yeah, I got a haircut. Yeah, we watched Ted Lasso. That show is pleasant. You know, it's a nice, pleasant, good, fun, decent watch. You'll feel very pleasant about it. I don't know if it's like I'm as passionate about it as everyone else seems to get like really excited about it. I don't know if I feel that, but for what it was a fun watch. You will not be disappointed or let down by it. I thought I liked most of the acting and stuff. It was a decent kind of fun thing. So, oh hey Lamar Berry. All right, so let's just get into the show because I feel like this opening bit I'm like not coming up with anything too great. Yeah. What was? Oh, you should subscribe to Tariq. I'm just gonna point that out there. Just gonna put it out there. You should subscribe to Tariq. No comment. All right. So before, I think that's everything. Oh yeah. So two things about the segments before I get into the regular show. So the two segments I'm doing tonight are a little different. One is my continued thing of doing Jim Simon shorts. I've actually been commented on, and there's very small Jim Simon community of Want2 Productions, and his Want2 Productions, and they've actually are really happy with what I've been doing. I'm just slowly doing it, and I am going to do a profile on him when I feel like I've covered everything. But that's kind of neat. It's sort of like a side thing I'm doing. I don't know when either of these segments are going to out because it's going to be sort of a crazy week, but who knows? And the other one is Jay and Silent Bob. It's a video stash, which is probably the last Kevin Smith segment I'm probably going to do. I'm going to just keep doing the regular reviews, but the side segments, I don't really have as much nostalgia for like the Dogma Comedy Central movie special or like maybe Afro Man and Then I Got High is like, I'm like a little iffy on that one, but everything else I'm sort of like, it doesn't represent as much to me. So I think this is the last one, but it is a harder one to watch because you have to download each of the things and put them in kind of the order they're in and watch them on VLC player. It's sort of stupid. So anyway, but that one has a certain nostalgia for me, so I wanted to review it. So those I wanted to say that up the front. And I hope you enjoyed, watch the Close Enough Season 2 review. And it seems like people were liking the Paramount Plus review. That was kind of nice. And the all the other stuff. Anyway, let's just get into the real thing. Scream 3? What? Let's get into the actual things that people turn into this show for, I assume. It's okay. You don't have to watch them before. The links are still there. But I think the only way you can watch Jay and Silent Bob's Video Stash is going through that and downloading the things. is no one's uploaded that special. The cameos of Jane. I'm not doing the cameos of Jane Silent Bob. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind reviewing the other Scream movies at some point. But hello, here we go. Ryan Fulcherson says Richard Sherman did a song for Iron Man 2. Alan Menken and David Zippel did a song for Captain America. The Lopez's did the songs in WandaVision. What Disney songwriter should be in the MCU next? Well, cheers to you, Ryan. Thank you very much. I would say, well, the Lopez's, I think, are pretty versatile, so I would want them to come back. But I can't pick that. I would, the Sherman, one of the Sherman brothers, the Sherman brothers did Iron Man 2. I guess Lin-Manuel would be good. I guess, either Lin-Manuel or like Randy Newman. I don't think he's he's more of a Pixar songwriter, but I would say Lin-Manuel Miranda probably. I'd be curious what he would do. I'd be curious what Giacchino, who's done scores, but if he did a song, that doesn't count. I'm just going to say Lin-Manuel Miranda because I can't think of the other, or any of the songwriting team from Moana, because I think that's a different, even though Lin-Manuel is involved in that songwriting team, I would actually, I'm going to expand that. I would just like that whole songwriting team because I like the Moana soundtrack, and I don't think Lin-Manuel's like Hamilton and anything else he's done sounds the same as Moana. So I'd actually say all the Moana people. I know there's like a bunch of those guys, and I don't know all their names off the top of my head, but I would actually say those. But that's a good question, Ryan. All right, but yeah, I'm not going to do more cameos. These are just for Kevin Smith. It's just like the side things, like the Mallrats special. Like, anyway, I thought about the flying car thing, but it's just like it's more the Kevin Smith series, more dealing with my own nostalgia for him. So I think I would just isolate to that. I'm getting super chats and I should shut the fuck up. All right. Ryan Walterson said, imagine this imagine this Elton John and Tim Rice doing songs for Black Panther 2 or Randy Newman and Ant-Man 3 doing a version of Short People. Oh my God. Hold on. What phone? What did you just do? Okay. That's good. Cheers to you, Ryan. And who do you think could play Don Bluth if he had a biopic about him from Discount Viscount? That is a good question. First, cheers to you. They would have to be, part of me wants to say Bill Hader, but I think Bill Hader almost has, you'd have to have an aw shucksiness that it's like, actually, I would go with Will Forte. I would say Will Forte. I don't think you can find an exact actor because I can't think of anyone else. But I think Will Forte could get the attitude of Don Bluth. I don't think he could get the physical resemblance thing. I don't know if there's an actor like that. But what's his name from Fantastic Beasts? Who I can never remember because he's like not memorable. And he was in Chicago 7. And he was in Theory of Everything. And he won an Oscar. And I just don't remember. I'm like not trying to make a point. I actually don't totally forget. But I would definitely say, yeah, Will Forte would do a good Don Bluth. That's a good question. Thank you, Ryan, for the generosity of the super chats, Ryan. And Ryan, of course, has better ideas on who to do them with. I've noticed there's a lot of talk of the Disney songwriters in those. Also, Discount Viscount. That was an interesting one. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Will Forte. All right, let us get into the actual show here. Eddie Redmayne, yeah, I can never remember. I've been making fun of, if you watch my my Week with Marilyn review, I've had a long-standing I don't get this guy thing with him forever. But like, what's there to get? A lot of people have said, like, was it Quentin Reviews who was like who's saying what's his name from never mind. Who was saying, what's his name from Doctor Who turned down Fantastic Beasts. And I was like, that is not actually what happened. They wanted the guy who won the Oscar. That's what happened. But I sort of get why he thinks that, though. What's his name? With the face. Anyway. All right. Before we get into the show, this is already... before we get into the show and before we talk about anything else, I should say Izzy's GoFundMe is still going. I realized I'm a stupid person and didn't link it below in the description last time. I will link it in the description. This time I will be retweeting that again this week a couple times. But please try to donate to that so we can get make sure Izzy can get out of medical debt and all the various insurance nonsense that she's had since her car accident. It is right there. I've donated myself. You can see my name right there and all that stuff. But if you can donate or you have any change to do so, I'm not sure the minimum amount, but hey, you could find that out and do so. And I think any amount would be greatly appreciated. So please do that if you can. But before we get into other stuff, this and everything I do is supported by you, the fans, either through super chats where I take a chug of Red Bull and answer and read off your super chat during the show, or through Patreon, which is linked in the description down below. We have all sorts of cool exclusive Patreon things, like Patreon exclusive videos with the commentary series where I give commentaries on Knock Force, Clues, Fees, and so forth. You get the movie review vote. You find out who won in the movie review vote and so forth. And postcards, Skype calls, all sorts of stuff like that, but also helps me, helps support what I'm doing. It helped me get a new computer and, new equipment and everything like that, and keeps the show running and, generally just keeps everything flowing very well. If you are financially able to do so, of course, if you are not, just subscribing or liking or just watching in general is very appreciated. If you just feel passionate enough to watch, that's good, but liking helps the algorithm and all that, subscribing and turning notifications. I do a lot of instant premieres, and there's not a lot of you will be instantly notified of those, and you can participate as well. So there's a lot of bonuses to doing those things. Anyway, also the Discord, which just recently, not this week, celebrated its 1 year anniversary, has all sorts of cool channels. Austin and Zane Powers do a great job, and I post things in there, kind of get I guess people's opinions on those and opinions on things I'm doing and everything like that. I do actually listen. There's all sorts of great channels like Ask Jim, which I need to catch up on just this week. I've been off and I haven't really. I will answer all those. The suggestions for Jim channel. You can talk about gaming, which I've never been in that channel because I would have nothing good to add, or movies or all sorts of stuff. And they do movie watches on Friday nights. And Austin Zane Powers do an amazing job. Please join that if you would like to. If you just see the chat during the show and you're like, these seem like cool people, you can hang out too and leave a message at 3 a.m. if that's the only time you're available. It's totally chill, and I drop my cards again. But anyway, you should join that because it's really, in general, is really great as well. Okay, not being a little funky tonight. All right, and I need to stop making noises. All right, okay. Nattenbox64 said, heard of indie band Friendly Fires? I have not, but thank you for the super chat, Nattenbox64. I have not. I will check them out though. Cheers to you. Is there a Kevin James channel in the Discord? Is there? Boxy? I don't remember this. Oh, you watched the bad animated King Kong movie this week? I don't want to talk about it. Ooh. Oh, okay. Well, cheers to you, Nattenbox64. All right. So we're going to start off the show with things that happened today, actually. One thing is Avatar has now taken its place back as being the highest grossing movie of all time, taking down Avengers Endgame, and now being, which I think Avengers Endgame, what was it, like a year and a half or something? Avatar wasn't number one in the... Since like 1998, James Cameron's had the highest grossing movie of all time. And for a year and a half, he didn't. And now he does again. It sort of doesn't matter because Disney owns both of them. So whatever. There's a lot of talk of why they were releasing it to China. And very suddenly, there's a couple of theories. Scott Mendelsohn was saying because China is not really relying as much on American blockbusters, and they wanted to show American blockbusters could still make money in China, which I don't think that point works as well with a re-release, but whatever. A lot of people question that methodology, but here's what I think is the bigger thing is Chinese movie theaters are much more into 3D than we are, and that's very much a 3D film. I actually think if you did a good 3D re-release of Avatar, I knew a lot of people who went to the 3D re-release, and that happened in 2010 and so forth. So if you did a good one, I think still people would show up to it, and I think they knew that, and they want to revitalize theaters, and it also helps publicize Avatar. And there is a big, it's hard to publicize Avatar at this point, with it being, you can't be like, there's sequel news, and everyone's like, yeah, sure, kid. Austin says, new game in the style of Turtles in Time thoughts. I will be talking about that shortly. Don't worry, that's one of the first couple topics. But cheers to you, Austin. Thank you for reminding me. But I really think it was just sort of both the publicity push, and I'm sure it occurred to them that maybe it would be the number one movie again, but that would of course cause even more publicity. So they thought, well, if we fail, at least we got some interest and see what the gauge of interest is, particularly in China. Also because Disney had a hard time pushing the Star Wars movies in China, because they really didn't get proper releases there, the original trilogy and so forth. So I think they are kind of looking at, after they did that huge sci-fi trilogy, how do we do this next big sci-fi trilogy? So I think this is, sadly, I think Avatar 2 could outgross certain Star Wars movies. But we'll see. But the fact that it did this so quickly kind of shows there is still a bit of interest there. But I don't know. It was kind of like so like not as eventful as it usually is when those sort of things become the highest grossing movie of all time, because you usually go like, oh wow, that doesn't happen every day. But now it's like, okay, it was like a year ago, and like, it's like, it wasn't that long ago. It doesn't feel that special, and they're both owned by Disney. It's like, come on, it feels really stupid this time. This is the least eventful, highest grossing movie of all time have happened since I've been following movies. Like when Titanic did it, which I think beat like E.T. or Jurassic Park or something. But like when it did it the first time, it was like, oh, crazy. And then when Avatar did it, you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. And now I'm just like, oh, it's all right, cool, whatever. I mean, I saw people doing like those friendly drawing things that they do every time and stuff like that, but it just was kind of like, whatever. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, it was only a 7 million difference. It was just, I mean, they did do that in one day, which in 2020 box office numbers is nothing to be shy about. I think that is actually a pretty big deal to make 7 million in one day. So anyway, but if you actually can see Avatar, the James Cameron film, in 3D in a good screen, it's actually fairly impressive, regardless if you liked it in a shitty theater or not. If you can see it in IMAX in 3D, just do it. It's worth the one time. It's a cool experience. So there was a Paw Patrol trailer for their movie during the Kids' Choice Awards, which I saw the Kids' Choice Award. I heard about the Kids' Choice Awards. I don't watch the Kids' Choice Awards, but I know that, like, Wonder Woman 84 won Best Movie, and Soul, I think, won, and SpongeBob won, and all this stuff. But they had a Paw Patrol trailer. It looked pretty much like, Austin says it's stupid, but I want Endgame to take that back. Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe if they ever make another Avengers film, they can re-release the Avengers movie or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Cheers to you, Zane Powers. But yeah, there was a Paw Patrol trailer. Not only do I not like Paw Patrol at all as being a brand for children, I also really don't like the animation in this movie. It was just sort of like the show. It looked like marginally better than the show. It was like, why is this even theatrical? Whatever. I do not get Paw Patrol. And it's like, you're probably in shock, but I am a dog. And then he like beats that guy with a billy club and laughs at him. Maybe you guys saw a different trailer than me, but that's what I saw. And it just looked like horrific. Anyway, I still hate Paw Patrol, and this trailer looked like garbage. Austin says Sonic and Hubie Halloween got robbed. I noticed a crossover between the Razzies and the Kids' Choice Awards. I thought that was interesting. Kenan Thompson did host. If I had kids who wanted to watch the Kids' Choice Awards, I'd have so much Kids' Choice Awards news, guys. Anyway, cheers to you, Austin. I used to watch the Kids' Choice Awards back when they were new. You don't care. Anyway, I don't have much to rant about Paw Patrol this time because it was such a nothing trailer. It was like, we're dogs that are cops and we have fancy cars and crap. That was like the whole thing. I was like, what? Come on. How am I supposed to get all upset? How am I supposed to be like the liberal quartering if like this guy's like, they're not going to like bring it? Like, I'm just like, come on. I can't make a Paw Patrol shed. Look up the Brie Larson shed. That's really funny. Sorry. I love looking that guy up and judging him. It's not healthy. All right. Sorry. He's just really bad. Jim Jr. would be on the Kids' Choice Awards. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot about my Jim Jr. bit. I need to bring that back. I need to get a backwards baseball cap. My favorite part of that bit is is in the future the president is cops. That's my anyway. So Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Austin's been really wanting me to talk about this. It seems like other people have too. The idea of a liberal quartering makes me fun. It's not that weird of a flex, corporate. I like you said. I watched the Kids' Choice Awards when they were new. This is the absolute weirdest flex I've ever heard. One quartering is bad enough. I'm not a quartering son. I'm 50 cents. All right. So the Turtle Shredder's Revenge. Sorry, the Turtles Shredder's Revenge trailer came out. Apparently no one really knew this was happening, but it is. It is. Wow. Okay. It is a pretty cool idea of making sort of a beat 'em up, I guess, sort of side scrolling kind of thing, in the style of Turtles in Time, sort of a semi sequel Turtles in Time thing, kind of thing. And it's cool for two reasons. One, you get an intro cartoon that looks like a very well animated intro to the original Ninja Turtles cartoon, and then it like really hits you in the Turtles nostalgia zone basically, and then it becomes, you see like the Turtles in Time stuff. I thought it looked really really cool. I was like, it's probably the first video game anything I've had any interest in. I don't know if I would actually play it because I mainly play stuff on my phone. If I play any games, I don't play them that much. But this is one I'd like consider doing. But like, I don't know. I don't really think about. I don't know if I'd really play it, but I will say, like, in terms of if you really like Ninja Turtles, I think this would be like, especially from that era, this would be the game for you. Quick super chat break. Ryan says, fun fact, the only non-Nickelodeon show to ever win favorite cartoon was The Simpsons, and the only other Nicktoons to ever win were Doug, Rugrats, and Avatar, which was the last one to win. Wait, has SpongeBob just won since Avatar? Does he just win every year? Is that a thing? I know Ryan said this to me. I didn't know. That's interesting. I think I even remember when Doug won, but I'm surprised Ren and Snippy didn't win. But anyway, thank you for the super chat tonight, Ryan, and cheers to you. But Turtle Shredder's Revenge, I think, will be cool because I think it is the first part of Turtles nostalgia because I think they've been trying to do Turtles nostalgia better for a while, and they haven't really been that effective at it. And Mike Patton sang the cover. Okay, I kept seeing that. Sorry, I should acknowledge that. I didn't know that. That's interesting. You did a very good job. But I think, especially the live action second film tried to be doing more of the nostalgia with everything. SpongeBob wins literally every year. Wow, damn. They've been trying to do it, but I think this is the most effective because I saw a lot of like hardcore Turtle fans. I saw Andre talk about it on his channel. SpongeBob is the old white man of the Kids' Choice Awards. That's funny. Cheers to you, St. Powers. But Yeah, I think this will be the most effective one. I've seen a lot of people talk about it and get into like the history of like they weren't as happy with Ninja Turtle games and so forth. But I will say in one video I saw, and I don't know who, I forget the name now actually, and he went through the whole history of games. One of the things that really hit with Turtles in Time is like I remember kids who were like sort of over Ninja Turtles would play the game a lot, and it sort of kept the brand right when that craze was sort of lessening and continued the brand up until like I mean it was like kind of a forever 90s brand, but it really did keep it going. So I and Andre actually brought up that he thinks that they didn't just make that cartoon as just a trailer thing. It was like too good. He was saying that it was maybe like a test to see like if they did this, would people be into like kind of a nostalgia rebrand type of thing. I don't know how true. I mean, he was theorizing, I will say, but I do. If they did that, I think that would be really cool. I would definitely watch that. Although I really do want to watch Rise of TMNT. That what I've seen of that, I love so much. It is like the first Turtles thing I've seen in a while that I really like. So, but I'm excited for it. I don't think I'm not like a gamer, by the way. Hey, Super Kirby dude, I'm not really a gamer, obviously, and I wouldn't be able to really make a video about it or like play it on a stream because you'd be like, Jim, you just keep dying and playing the whole thing and getting frustrated, and then you left the stream for 2 hours, and then you came back, and then you played it again, and then you played this weird level for no reason. It would not be fun to watch me do that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think it's like just for PC and stuff like that. So, but I will say aesthetically, visually, everything they're putting out with that game right now is absolutely amazing and perfect in terms of the kind of hugeness of the Ninja Turtles and what they were at that time. No, was Andre ever on TV? He was on. He did stuff for Regal Cinemas, like on their TV. So I know he has. I'm not really a fake gamer. I'm not a gamer at all. Gamer. I guess that would be the right term, right? I'm not. Just hey Jim. Hey, Jim's played pinball. True. All right. So let's get into this Pepe Le Pew thing. It did occur to me when I put him in the thumbnail that this is the second Looney Tunes character controversy we've had in a row. Like, what's going on with with this? Like, I don't understand this whole thing. And both characters who were, by the way, not in the new cartoons. So basically, the New York Times wrote a piece on the Dr. Seuss books that were canceled, which they weren't. They just pulled them, which, by the way, I should point this out, actually. Dr. Seuss was the company who runs Dr. Seuss Publishing or whatever it is, pulled them and was very public about it. Most companies, and this has been something before, like, whatever, you know, cancel culture or whatever we're calling it is, companies and production companies have done this forever. They have always reassessed and looked at a piece of media they were going to re-release, watch it and go, oh fuck no, and just not said anything. And it seems like now they're like, well, let's make a big deal out of it, I guess. And I'm a little confused about that element because it used to be like they just don't say anything and hope like everybody forgets or everyone who did remember dies or something. And that's honestly usually what they would do. And it's interesting to me, that whole element of it. But the Pepe Le Pew thing basically is they brought up that he like promotes rape culture. They made a Pepe a James Bond parody in the 2015 one. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'll check that out. Thank you, Tune J722. That was interesting. Cheers to you. But basically saying he promotes rape culture and everything like that. I kind of... Here's the thing about, like, one, I don't like the New York Times bring this up because it just feels like someone in animation class in the 2000s had a zine and they wanted to really take down Pepe Le Pew, and everyone wasn't even that fascinated by it then. It's like something we've always... Pepe Le Pew's gross. That's like his whole thing. And it's just like... It's a little silly because Pepe Le Pew, and actually Max Landis said this, and I never like to agree with this guy who wrote like one good screenplay and then just has a lot of hype around him. And honestly, if you get into that one screenplay, it was just Akira, but with teenagers. which is Akira, just Akira, but with like white people and found footage. But anyway, but it was a fine. I like Chronicle, but that's not enough to as much of a platform as he gets. But he brought up that Pepe Le Pew again, isn't someone who can go to therapy and like uncancel himself. He's a cartoon character who's very corporately controlled, and they could do something to that character and adapt him, and which I agree with. And that's what they've been doing with the new Looney Tunes. They took out the guns. They did things with Yosemite Sam and and Elmer Fudd and stuff like that, and that's pretty natural. Blacksy said no one cared about Pepe until WB announced they weren't using the character. No one canceled him. But plus side, Looney Tunes show is getting a boost. Oh, that's true. That's true. Cheers to you, Blacksy. And I know Max Landis almost did a Pepe Le Pew film, but Warner Brothers announced that they weren't using him anymore, and he was going to be in Space Jam 2 or Space Jam: A New Legacy. And then it was going to have a scene with the one actress who basically he hits on her, and then she turns him down, and then LeBron says something. I mean, I can't see the scene. I've heard it described by many a reporter who have also not seen the scene. That basically they said, make some reference or some sort about consent to Pepe Le Pew, and that most of the Looney Tunes characters have restraining orders against him. And the actress who performed in that scene, who is, to my understanding, a survivor of sexual assault, or is does a lot of work for those charities or something, she was really happy with that scene, actually, and she was very proud of that scene and what it did to the idea of Pepe Le Pew. And then Warner Brothers cut it because they're like, we just don't want anything to do with Pepe Le Pew. Which is interesting that, like, actually people who would be offended by that were like, no, we really support this scene. And they're like, no, forget it. So I'm a little confused about that. I'm also confused at, like, why this became such a big deal and everything like that. Although I would love to see, like, MAGA people watching Pepe Le Pew cartoons. I think that would be a little humorous. Warner's this is no future for him. I've noticed he's not in the new Looney Tune cartoons that we watch on HBO Max a lot. I have not seen Pepe Le Pew show up in any of those. Although most people I talk to who watch them are like, I'm pretty sure he's not in them. Is he not in them? Like, nobody has an answer, really. Nuttenbox64 says, never got why some people hated Looney Tunes show back then. Always loved it since the premiere back in middle school days. I was never as into it, but I think maybe I'll rewatch it now because you guys are bringing it up so much. Cheers to you, Nuttenbox64. But what I kind of think a lot of this Looney Tunes stuff is, and I think I've said this before, is you get a lot of adults who don't watch Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry, and they don't watch it for a long time, like 30, 40 years, and then, they're sat down with, like, their kid or their grandkid or whatever, and they're watching it, and they're like, holy crap, this stuff is violent and, like, a little offensive in certain ways and stuff, and it's like, I never thought Pepe Le Pew was, like, appropriate. I thought the joke of it that he is really awful. I don't really agree with that sort of thing, and I do think you could confront it a little better, and I don't really like that stuff. I also sort of think a lot of this is just like, I don't like all these major publications going into Looney Tunes, and they're not really saying much of anything about Pepe Le Pew that, like, people haven't been saying for a very long time. Could we just, like, be doing exposés on people who, like, actually sort of need to be canceled? Like Bing Crosby's right there, guys. Like, I saw Be Kind Rewind in her latest video bring up, like, we make passing references to Bing Crosby on Family Guy and stuff, but nobody brings up how horrible Bing Crosby is. And that would be an insanely good podcast or article, and I'm very surprised. Or the same with, like, I brought up before with the Muppet Show, like the Brooke Shields stuff, and, like, there's so many things you could do a really good piece on. And I'm not, like, anti the New York Times or something, but they have so many resources, and for them to be picking up and making such a nothing story, such a big thing this past week, just kind of doesn't make me have a lot of faith in them in general. And it's like, if you're going to be the, was it the source, the paper of record or whatever, it's like you should be doing a little more than being like, hey, Pepe Le Pew promotes rape culture and stuff. And it's like, it's like, but it kind of disappoints me that like they were going to take this thing that I think represented a negative thing and make it into something a little more positive and teach kids a lesson, and now like that's going to be cut because I think that I'm more disappointed by that, but I just think it's a little stupid, and I feel like we could be doing a lot more with, I'm not actually against cancel culture. I think a lot of these things should be brought to our attention and reassessed, but I feel like we could be doing a better job than fucking Pepe Le Pew. It just like feels pretty uneventful to me. I don't know. It's just like I always thought the joke was that he sucked. Like I don't know. Maybe and I kept seeing in like so many cinephile groups that I'm in, people laughing at all these people writing about Looney Tunes because they were so bad at it. He's just like, guys, like just come on, just hire someone who knows something about animation for once. It's a little sad. All right, let's move on to something that's like actually interesting. So there's a movie called Cocaine Bear. It is about a bear who does a bunch of cocaine. That's not a joke. That's a real thing. Elizabeth Banks is going to direct it, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller are going to produce it. But just to be clear on this, all this is about is about a bear who does a lot of cocaine, and then I guess, I don't know, that doesn't sound like a good thing to me. Like, I would not want to deal with a bear. I don't want to deal with bears in general, but like if a bear was on cocaine, I don't know. I'm not sure like what this. I dropped my cards again. This is embarrassed stream right now. That just sounds cool. I think Elizabeth. I've never. I like Elizabeth Banks as an actress and a performer. I don't know if I like. What did she just do? Was the only thing she did was Pitch Perfect 3 or something? Like I always heard a lot of things she's announced by, but anyway, it sounds like it could be a cool cult movie. I like that Fuller and Chris Miller are doing it. We just watched Lego Movie last night actually, and I was like, man, that movie is so crazy and insane. And like reading this after watching Lego Movie again, I was like, I don't know. I hope Phil Lord and Chris Miller can add some things to it. I think they also are good at shepherding directors, which we saw with Spider-Verse, which we've seen with other movies. So I think like maybe that'll work for her. I hope that works for her. I think that'll be cool. Anyway, there's really nothing in the story other than there's a movie called Cocaine Bear. Or no, it's right now called Cocaine Bear. They might change it. We'll see. The only Cocaine Bear I'm interested in is Norm. Oh, how did I not think that? And I forgot about Charlie's Angels. Thank you, Sleepy Cat 4-Time Productions. Thank you. The only Cocaine Bear is Norm. I'm sure Norm did cocaine. Cheers to you. I forgot about... See, I didn't... Oh, we killed a Red Bull. It's one of those nights. I totally forgot about Charlie's Angels. I've heard it wasn't good. I have no interest in seeing it. We went from we went from Smokey Bear to Cocaine Bear. What a time to be alive, said Spotwell. Oh, that's a quote. All right. So some Disney Plus, kind of 4 Disney Plus-ish things. Disney Plus has already crossed 100 million subscribers. They did this faster than Netflix, which they only did it in the however many months it's been. It hasn't been that long. It's been a little over a year that they crossed 100 million subscribers. It took Netflix about 10 years to do that. Here's the thing about that, and everyone's like, it shows how much bigger Disney is. Netflix was like first, so like I don't agree with that. I think it's just like when Disney Plus launched, more people are using Netflix and other streaming services, so there's already a kind of more of an infrastructure there that there wasn't for Netflix. More technology had caught up a lot more. When I was first watching Netflix, like on my computer and stuff, it was very new. So I think it's just like people need to think about that. But it is still insanely impressive. Shows Disney is a service to be reckoned with. I think a part of it is, WandaVision, the success of that, and the Marvel shows and The Mandalorian. The other thing is like and this is for real, I think one of the major successes of Disney and the home video stuff is like every daycare, every family who has a bunch of kids and everything had kind of that shelf with like all the Disney movies and those like clamshell VHSs or DVDs or whatever. They always had that. And I think because so much of Disney content is tied with childhood, you pretty much buy it for the, the library basically. As long as they have all the, classic Disney animated films, that's more of a selling point than I think people really realize. They'll totally buy it to pay rent on certain things, and Disney only has to have a couple events a year so people don't like consider canceling it or something like that. So but yeah. All right, there's going to be a making a WandaVision special. There was a trailer for it. It looked kind of okay, I guess. I was like, all right, cool. There was revealed that Monica Rambeau was supposed to have a bigger role in the last episode of WandaVision. There's a subplot with her and the boys and everything like that. They needed certain reshoots for it, which they couldn't do because of COVID, and it just didn't really work. I wish they'd use more of Monica, and I hope they do more with her in the future. We'll see. But I was sort of disappointed with where she was so far. And then the final thing for Disney Plus was that they have sort of officially really taken down Dumbo, Peter Pan, and Aristocats from children's profiles on there. I can say with Disney Plus is now when you log on, you used to be able to just on Roku, you just hit it and then it's on. You're at Disney Plus, and now you have to it comes on. You have to hit a profile basically. I don't really restrict Disney Plus in our house because I don't really feel the need to. We have watched Dumbo recently, and the warning lasted an incredibly long time. I still think I think the crows are offensive. I don't think they're I mean, it's not good. But I think Peter Pan of the three is the worst by far. But I don't know. I've always really loved Dumbo, so I don't know. But it's like a perfect hour type of movie where it's just if you want to watch a movie but don't want to commit to one. I think it's 60 some minutes. It just works very well. I've always loved that film. I need to do a review of it at some point, but I do agree the crows are not the greatest element of that movie, and they are. I don't know, they're kind of that period of Hollywood, but they're not the worst thing. But they are also crows and Jim Crow stuff and everything like that. So I don't know. I don't know if I can really. They're just not. Yeah, I don't know, but I think I tweeted something about how the pink elephant sequence, it is interesting to watch that and go weren't a lot of these guys who designed this total alcoholics? There is oh, the WandaVision thing is already out. Didn't okay? Sorry, Ryan. Well, you should go watch that if you want to see the making of WandaVision. But the pink elephant thing is way darker. Yeah, when you realize there were definitely total drunks making that, and it's that just occurred to me. I was I've known most of those guys are real alcoholics, but wow. Yeah, the pink elephant sequence also goes back with my family because my dad played that when he ran his college, and actually would play it both for children and for stoners. Actually, I should tell that. Maybe I should get him to film that at some point. All right, and finally, the last thing for Disney Plus I wanted to talk about. This is sort of the Disney Plus segment, I guess. There's a lot of talk of why Raya and the Last Dragon bombed. I will have a review of it next week. I have seen it. I think part of the reason, and I was thinking about this, is because I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it's amazing or anything, but I'll get more into that later. Is that I think Raya. No, my dad. Dad was just a student government president, not a real president of a college. Sorry, I should have said that better. But there's a lot of talk of why and how did Raya bomb, and I think a lot of it was it took a while for me to convince Sophie to watch it, which was a little unusual because I saw she liked the ads and stuff when we walked to school. But I also think part of it is, and I talked to other parents who are their kids weren't very passionate about seeing it, And if you're going to spend $30 or risk getting COVID and going to a movie theater and your kids are like, I don't know, maybe it's just like not the kind of response you want. And I think it's like the thing with Riot is if it had come out on like Thanksgiving, which I think was the original release date, or one of them at some point, who even remembers now, you would have just paid the $30 because you're like, look, I need to make this turkey. Just like sit down and and be quiet and stuff like that. But since it came out in March, the necessity for it isn't really there as much, and it wasn't marketed like the posters. Sort of just look like any action adventure show. There's nothing that spells out like cinematic about it. It's sort of just like, it just looks like an action adventure animated show. It doesn't speak past that, and I think that was sort of a big misunderstanding. If they had like a cool Marvel poster type of thing, or like the marketing had not sold it more on the Disney element and try to sell it a little differently, because I do think it's a little more mature cartoon, to be honest with you, like more mature kids cartoon really than Disney's used to. And I think that was kind of the problem. It just needed to be marketed in a different way. I know studios are not really great at marketing action adventure stuff, less Titan AE and so forth. I think that this is a continuation of that. I think kids will grow up and really like it. I think there'll be a lot of like passionate fans of it, and we'll see cosplay. In 20 years, you will be seeing cosplay of Raya and the Last Dragon, but if we all live till then. But I just don't think the marketing was up to par for that one. That's, to be honest, that's what I think. And most people just like, if you're going to spend that money and do that, they have to be very passionate about it. I don't think Mulan worked for it. I don't think Raya worked for it. I'm a little confused at why Disney's picking certain things, because I probably would have done it for Soul. I don't know why. I don't know why they did those in that way. It's like, I don't know. I hope they do it for Black Widow, which I know they are saying is going to theaters, and I think that's a huge miscalculation, really. All right. In other streaming news, Peacock, we found out, lost $914 million for Universal. This is not as bad as it sounds, because they just launched a streaming service that costs a lot of money. They only made about $118 million in revenue from Peacock, which is probably more than I thought I would. But to be honest, they are also trying a different kind of streaming service, which I think like Paramount Plus and all those aren't really doing, because they're having an ad-supported version, which I know they really want to be a hit. So they're just not making a lot of money. They're spending a ton to hopefully get this to work. I support Peacock because I like its difference, but they're losing a ridiculous amount of money. So I think they really need a huge hit. I don't know if like Saved by the Bell, the reboot, is really going to be doing that. All right, so now let's get into Infinity Train Book 4, because I think that is probably one of the big stories for a lot of you this week. That's true, not in Box 64. The WWE deal was pretty big. So it came out this week that we are getting an Infinity Train Book 4 on April 15th on HBO Max, but it is the final season as everyone has moved on to other projects. I know when Dennis basically said that this is definitely the last one unless something else sort of happens at some point, but it sounds like it's kind of the last one. It looks cool. It's these two kids in a band, or these two guys in a band. They get on a train to hopefully play New York one day, which you don't really know where they're going, but you know they're in a band. They want to play New York, all this stuff. They get on a train, and suddenly they're on one train, and they end up on the Infinity Train, which is interesting. They're like on one train, they end up on another one, and it's going to test their friendship and them in a band, which I think can be actually really interesting. It's a totally different way to take it. It's also interesting because the other seasons played into each other. Like, you know, one begat two, two begat three, and so forth. This one seems totally separate, which I find to be actually really interesting. I think it might have surprised the fan base who wanted more of the thing with Hazel, which we're not getting. But we'll see. It seems like Dennis is like, no, this is a totally different thing. But the thing with Infinity Train is I always wanted those different. I like shows that do that. Like, actually, another fourth season, I know someone said they're going to watch The Wire, actually. The Wire season 4, I think, is one of my favorites of a show that like was definitely like amazing on its third season, and then took an absolute different direction on its fourth one, and that's very ballsy, and I respect that a lot, and I think it's artistically very interesting. I'm very excited for book 4. It seems like it's all going to be released at once, but he might do some like kind of watch along things on Twitter. So if you want to support Infinity Train, I think that is actually a very good way to do it. Although I've talked about how trying to get that to live on at other times, but we'll see what happens there. It does look really cool and promising. I know Owen Dennis says he has a feature. He wants to sell his studios and do more mature animation and stuff like that. I hope that happens. We'll see. Even if it does, it'll probably be a couple years till we see anything of it. But I think the main thing with Infinity Train is book 4, which is called Duet. Thank you, Austin. Is I think it's a cult show that's really taken off. But the other thing with Infinity Train is like we got 4 seasons. Like that's pretty amazing. Like for a show that's that weird and as cultish as it is, especially this time when Cartoon Network's like reorganizing and HBO Max isn't sure what it's doing and all that stuff. The fact that it got as much content as it has is really amazing. I know everyone really wanted, like all 8 books, but to me, like that's very ambitious, and very few cult shows get to do that, especially an animated cult show. Like that's insane. So, we got 4 books. That's really cool. Just support it, watch it, try to do what you can to bring it up. But we'll see. It's I think it's pretty exciting that we're getting a 4th book. I think that's really cool. So we'll see. I have seen some Riot toys. I think there was a Happy Meal or something. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So this is going to be a bunch of kind of little things. Yes. All right. Well, first is Netflix is going to be cutting down on password sharing, which they previously just been like whatever to, but they're trying to cut back on that. What basically be like they'll be sending a code to the person who owns that account. Like, do you live with the person? Things like that. So like if you don't see that person regularly, you can't, you won't be able to use the password again. I don't really like that people use like, especially people who have the means to afford streaming services. Like if you're paying for one and you're swapping passwords, I think that's fine. But like I know so many people who like have way more money than me who like have their parents' Netflix. I find that to be very obnoxious. So I don't disagree with it on that end, but I don't know how well they'll be able to do that, because if you get a random text from Netflix, won't you just text the thing back? Like I don't know like how far this is going to go. I think Netflix is just seeing like what they can do before they like get really into it. It seems like they are trying to snap back on it, but when they do, how many of the other streaming services will? I think we'll see how far they like go down this road with stopping password sharing, because I think it is a major thing with streaming services, but they're making like billions of dollars. So I don't know if we should feel that bad for them, because they're making so much money, and or potentially could make so much money, because I think a lot of them aren't right now. But we'll see. I mean, it's 2-factor authentication, but you still have to have, or TuneJ723, I heard it was actually 2-factor authentication. The news site was misleading. Basically, it's 2-factor authentication, but if you don't live with that person and they get a text and they don't text you back right away, you're sort of fucked. basically. And and people's passwords do get out there, and you don't want people watching the wrong thing and using your information for things like that. So David Fincher was announced in an interview, and this sounded like an interesting idea. We really know nothing about this, but it is David Fincher is working on a film appreciation docuseries on Netflix, basically him doing deep dives into movies he loves. I think that could actually be really cool, especially from someone like David Fincher, who we've heard from like Scorsese and Edgar Wright and directors like that. But David Fincher but David Fincher, I think, we don't really see him go into the movies he likes as much, and I think that could be really interesting. I know it's one of the many projects he's really considering right now. We don't know what movies it will be. We don't know when it's coming out or how, anything like that. But sorry. It actually sounds really cool. I'm excited for that. And I could use a good film documentary series. So, there's also let me do a bunch of quick ones real quick. Toni Collette has announced that she's directing a film. It is going to be about an aspiring writer in the 90s thrown into chaos by a recent affair after her mother's death. That actually sounds cool, and I like Toni Collette a lot, so I'm curious to see her. Curious to see what she can do as a director. Alejandro Inarritu is underway on a new movie. It is understood to be a pharma fable exploring the political and social modernity of Mexico called Limbo, I believe. And we're going to see what happens with that. I'm really curious about it. We haven't heard much about Inarritu. We don't know much about that project. Oh, here we go. Jordan Bouchard says, I heard season 4 of The Wire was bad, so I've been sleeping on it even though I'm on the 4th season. Did you say it's your favorite season? First off, thank you for the super chat, Bloxy. Or Jordan Bouchard. I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that. Cheers to you, Jordan Bouchard. Apologies. It is one of my favorites, and I remember when it came out, everyone liked it. I think you might be thinking of season 5. People don't. No season of The Wire is bad, I will say that, but season 4 is particularly good. Although I think season 3 is really great. I like season 1. Season 2 is kind of like, I don't know, I like the docs thing, but I like season 4 with everything that went on with that. So, focusing more on the kids in that one. But I like season 4. I don't know, I've always heard great things. I remember like people consider it part of like the Sight and Sound list for movies. It was like one of the first peak TV shows where seasons, in fact, people are saying should have been on the top 10 films of the year and things like that. What's it? Okay, so Inarritu. Bruce Campbell has brought up that they're trying to make this thing called Evil Dead Rise, which is more of a follow-up to the kind of reboot we got recently. It seems like what they want to do with Evil Dead, there's kind of two franchises going on. There's the Ash kind of stuff, and then there's the other stuff, and this is going to be the other stuff. Is going to be a modern-day urban setting. It's out of the woods, and is what he says that's the best thing he can say about it. We're not really getting much beyond that with Evil Dead Rise, but it does actually sound really interesting. And I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the remake, but I like that it took it in a different direction actually. And so I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Evil Dead. But it sounds like they want to keep that modern in terms of Evil Dead. And now let's get into this was announced. It's called Classified from Chad Strelinsky, I guess. He is the co-director of the first John Wick and then end up directing 2 and 3. And this sounds really cool to me, and I wanted to read this out because if this happens and New Line won the bidding war for this, is a story that will be set. It's basically Die Hard. Okay, let me just read it up. It says the story will be set in a top secret military bunker similar to the famous warehouse where the Ark of the Covenant was stored at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Much like the warehouse before it, this bunker contains relics retrieved from World War II that will turn out to be incredibly powerful and dangerous. Basically what this is, and that didn't describe it very well, so I should have explained that, is it's sort of like Die Hard in that warehouse, that military warehouse, where there's like all this like relics and crazy things you've never heard of and stuff. So it's like Die Hard with crazy fantastical stuff and everything like that, and it sounds really cool. Particularly a director who, if you watch John Wick 2 and 3, which he was mainly credited with, or solely credited with, they were very set piece heavy action stuff, but they were amazing set pieces, and I that just sounds like such a cool premise. I'm very excited for Classified whenever that happens. And then there's a Bee Gees movie that was announced. This is from the same producer as the one who did Bohemian Rhapsody, but he is also be directed by Kenneth Branagh. I don't really like Kenneth Branagh as a director. I think this is a bad idea. I think they should have been a better director, but Graham King isn't a great producer when it comes to making these biopics, but they have the music rights. So, and they got the last surviving Gib to work on it and all that stuff. So it sounds like something that is going to happen, regardless, unfortunately. But we'll see. I think you could do interesting stuff with it. It'll be. I'm more curious how they're going to show both the rise and the kind of 80s sort of fall, I guess, or whatever. But we'll see what happens there. Okay. So, oh, we're really like moving through. Sometimes when I go through the show, I'm like, oh, we're gonna run out of time. I'm like, oh, I guess we're not. So there's some of the reporting on this next one was a little, people didn't seem to understand, but there's an animated musical about a demon hunting K-pop girl group. This is being set at DreamWorks, I believe. The thing with this movie is, I know in the States, no, Sony, not DreamWorks. I don't know why I thought that. K-pop is not a fad. It seems like people seem to consider it a fad in the States. It is like a thing in another country. It's been going on for a while, and most of the people who worked on it seems to understand that. It seems like everyone's like, I don't know, if like you should do all the planning for a fad, but then if you read the people who are making it, they're like, well, we've been fans of this for like decades, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe you should do that. I'm sure they're looking at the long lasting idea of this genre. We'll see if that happens, but I just think I think it is actually a pretty cool idea to have a singing group fight demons and zap things and do K-pop routines and stuff like that. I don't actually know K-pop that well. I've tried to understand a little bit. I'm really out of it when that stuff comes in terms of that stuff, but I will say I think that could be, even if they change it to a different kind of, they could change it to different music or something if they really feel like K-pop is totally over by the time this actually gets done. But I think they could still do something interesting with it. So sounds like a cool idea to me. Nattenbach64 says, I do love Branagh's take on Hamlet, though. I have seen that Hamlet, and I do like that Hamlet. I don't know his 80s stuff and like the rise of him as a director. I saw like his Frankenstein, which was not good. I feel like I haven't seen his best stuff. I've seen like the 2010 stuff, which I don't really like as much. But his Hamlet was pretty good. So I will say that I have seen stuff of his that is good. But cheers to you, Nattenbach64. Jim, you should have a K-pop night. Sure. So over this past week, the Snyder Cut, I guess, was mistakenly released when people clicked on Tom and Jerry. Instead, the Justice League played. Although some people say it was the Snyder Cut, some people say it was just the release cut of Justice League. Whatever. A lot of people are saying, oh, it was a mistake and someone was fired. Some people are saying it was a secret kind of publicity thing. Who knows? It's just, we can talk about the Snyder Cut again, and everyone likes that, I guess. I don't know. It's, to be honest, would that have been better than Tom and Jerry? It's, maybe your kids will like that more. Maybe not. Whatever. So the MGM logo now has a CG lion in it. I don't really like it. I like when they just film a lion. Is that so hard? I mean, the lion. I think I don't know. I don't really like the new logo, to be honest. I guess this is trailers and stuff. I'm sorry. This is trailers and stuff. It's just sort of like MGM. I know they're just trying to hype up their studio so they can sell it, and there's another way they can do that. But just like, get a lion, man. Come on. There was two trailers. Not a lot of trailers this week. Paw Patrol, but that of course gets its own segment of City of Lies, which is the trailer for the Biggie and Tupac murder mystery film starring Johnny Depp that has been shelved for like 4 or 5 years. Seems like, according to sources coming out, there's a new trailer cut for it. Barely features Johnny Depp. I don't really want this movie. I know that there's the Biggie documentary on Netflix. It seems like part of the reason they came up to finally release that because of the hype from that. Where I live, Biggie's like always around, always playing. There's always murals of him. So to me, it's like there's never not a time he's relevant. So I don't understand like why they picked this time, and I don't get like this movie. It's always looked like people who look at the Biggie Tupac murder as like a mystery who don't understand the music, and that seems to be like what this is, which is like, please just like don't I feel like a studio should have been like, don't make this movie, and only someone as tone deaf as Johnny Depp would think it would be. And there's a BVS or Batman v Superman 4K trailer, and now it's everything Zack Snyder makes is in that 4x3 thing, which is cool, whatever. All right, and moving on from trailers and stuff, according to Amazon, Coming to America 2 was the biggest streaming debut in this post-COVID world, beating Wonder Woman 1984, Borat 2, all that stuff. Certainly, I'm sure they could say that, but no one seems to actually have the numbers. So whatever, there seems to be a lot of talk of Coming to America. I would say potentially it was bigger than Borat. I think the surprise day early thing helped because I saw people were super excited for the Coming to America thing. I really need to rewatch the original and see the new one. I would like to do that. I don't know if I'm going to do reviews of any of that, but according to them, it's the biggest. I don't know if it's just a bunch of publicity stuff, but yeah. Oh no, Johnny Depp is not playing Tupac or Biggie. He's playing a detective trying to solve it, basically. Oh yes, that is true. City of Lies was Saban Films. I should have mentioned that. I'm sorry. All right, so the Powerpuff Girls live action show has finally gotten its cast. This seems to be very much moving forward. I think because of all the publicity it ends up getting. We had the one actress, Chloe Bennett, who most people know from Agents of Shields, will be playing Blossom. Dove Cameron will be playing Bubbles, and Yana Perlt, I think, will be playing Buttercup. That did I say that right? Blossom, yeah, I did that right. They seem like a good, you know. I think it seems like good casting based on the concept. I don't know. It depends on like what they do with this kind of new take on the Powerpuff Girls and what they're going to do with it. I don't think we actually know like what that is. No one's read a script or anything like that, but once we do have one, I think we can kind of assemble that. But it seems like a good cast to me, since they're supposed to be, grown up and everything like that. I'm very curious to see this pilot and what they do with it. I still am a little hesitant, but we'll see what happens from there. So, it was announced, and this is kind of an interesting story because of the history behind it. But Steven Spielberg's new movie, which is a coming-of-age drama based on his life, basically him growing up, and it was announced that this is happening, and they had cast or considering casting Michelle Williams as his mom. Steven Spielberg's childhood is very interesting for a matter of reasons, and I mentioned on Twitter that I would explain why this is interesting, and boy oh boy do we got some twists in this, and you're not going to expect it. But I will say his growing up, like, he made some cool movies. I made that Lost Film File over the summer about his first feature that got lost, which he made in high school. He was basically one of, like, I think he's the only boy in his family. He has a bunch of sisters. They've even said it's not as Norman Rockwell-ish as he's made it out to be. And his father was like a pretty famous mathematician and everything like that. But here's why this is interesting. And I know he suffered some anti-Semitism and he had an interesting childhood. So most people know that Steven Spielberg's parents got divorced at some point, and that has been incredibly influential on his career, basically, and through his storytelling. You've seen that in E.T., Close Encounters specifically, even Indiana Jones. And they got divorced, and it was kind of a big traumatic experience for Spielberg because like his father was like crying at the dinner table is what he would say and everything like that. And then it came out years later, after ET actually, that when his parents got divorced, it was not because his dad sucked or anything like that. It was because his mom actually basically left his dad for their family friend, and his father basically to not just destroy the family out of sort of vengeance of what she did, he chose to take a different angle and chose to basically take the brunt of the kids' hatred because he didn't want the kids to sort of hate the mom, despite the fact that his kind of friend had basically taken his wife. So he chose not to say anything and didn't tell Steven, and most of his family didn't know until after ET. So basically, what that means, it's kind of like this crazy twist where, because they would be like, oh, and then our family friend became our stepdad. That's crazy. Um, and I hope I'm telling the story right. But basically, all the portrayals of fathers in E.T. and Close Encounters and most of the Spielberg stuff that are um, like, negative towards fathers are based on something that isn't true. And, and what's crazy about that is that, can you imagine being that guy and like, I'm going to go see my son, who I'm really proud of his filmmaking. I can't wait to see this E.T. movie. And you're like, oh, the dad left and cheated on the mom. Yeah, that yeah, this sucks, man. Like, this isn't gonna be like a huge hit that's never gonna go away, is it? And you're like, oh, it's ET. Shit. like, like when you learn that like he based ET on his dad. Oh my god, just fuck. Anyway, that's all. That's real. I don't know if Spielberg's gonna use that, but I think he should, because like me saying on a stream, I can see the chats like that just hit. Once it hits you, you're like, holy crap. And especially because like that went on to influence how people use fathers in cinema, and it was based on something. Anyway, that guy did an amazing sacrifice. He's an amazing mathematician. He helped come up with the first kind of computers and everything like that. He's a fascinating person. A lot of people who know the Spielberg life more um, have actually said they're more fascinated in who's going to play the dad, which that seems like a tough fucking role. I actually think that would be a hard role. His mom's a musician and seems like a fascinating person as well, to be honest. Who's going to play him as well, and his sisters, everything like that. How much of Norman Rockwell stuff is going to happen? Is he's going to use, because Spielberg like loves Norman Rockwell. Like, I've seen him frequently in Norman Rockwell documentaries. He's a shareholder in the Norman Rockwell Museum, both metaphorically and like actually. But I'm curious how he's going to portray it, because his sisters have said in various documentaries their life is not as it's not as, not the way he portrayed it. It was more bohemian and stuff like that. So I also have another theory about this. I have a lot of thoughts on Spielberg, if you guys didn't know. Is that I noticed, so he had always wanted to make a musical, which he did with West Side Story, regrettably. Maybe it's good, but I don't really understand why he did that, but whatever. He's kind of with The Talisman, which is a thing he's been trying to make forever and never really got right. And with this, it seems like he's sort of tying up loose ends. And I know Spielberg's sort of like, he's an older guy at this point. And sometimes when I see him publicly, I'm always like, wow, that's, that he's getting up there. It's a little shocking for me. I don't love all of Spielberg's stuff. I do think he's probably one of the most influential filmmakers of our era, but I sort of feel like he's sort of tying up loose ends, because he sort of is like, let me just like make this filmography end on a high note. I think this movie has the potential to be insanely good if he tells it in the right way. I do think he should do the thing about his parents. If it was me, I also think, and I'm not trying to be gossipy here, I literally think that is an interesting decision that two people made that ended up influencing 80s and blockbuster cinema for decades, like, and particularly the portrayal of fathers and things like that, which is insanely fascinating. So, Gotta Be Real, when you mentioned Norman Rockwell, I was thinking of NFR by Lana Del Rey for a second. I don't know that song that well, but that's interesting. Not in Box 64. Cheers to you. All right. That was my Spielberg deep dive. It seemed like I got you into it. I was a little worried. Man, Ready Player One is going to hit different. I saw your previous tweet, like, about E.T. No, I don't know Steven Spielberg. That would be cool. Anyway, I wanted to flesh out because it felt like the Spielberg people were like, oh, this is going to be cool. And everyone else is like, what about a stupid childhood? I'm like, guys, you don't know. So anyway, let's talk about the Arthur thing, because that is also interesting. There's a lot of, like, you know what I find cool about this week is we didn't get a lot of huge stories, but we got a lot of interesting stories like that one. So the Arthur season premiere, which I barely watched Arthur. I don't know much about it, but I wanted to talk about this because it is interesting. So, and Ryan told me about this, of course. There was an almost like shot-for-shot remake of a 2009 episode. This one where the character Miss McGrady is revealed to have cancer. And in the original episode in 2009, they had Lance Armstrong, who obviously is very controversial. So they actually, shot for shot remade it and replaced that guest star with an in-universe character as a cancer survivor. So it's kind of, I've seen like what happened to Louis C.K. in Gravity Falls, where they just like redub it or whatever. And I've, seen them just like cut episodes, but it's interesting. Like they clearly felt strongly about this episode. So they're like, well, let's not just like reanimate the one. Why don't we just like remake the episode? And I'm curious how the Arthur fandom feels about that, or if they feel like it turned out better. Maybe there's mistakes they corrected or things like that. Or like, they're like, well, if this shot was a little different, or I don't know. Man, what is up with me? These cards today. But I find it interesting. That's an interesting way to do that. So, all right. So the Safdie brothers are making a Paul Reubens documentary for HBO. This documentary could be, I think it'll be interesting, specifically going into why he was actually canceled in the 90s. Even though the show was over, I believe. I think the show was over, but it's still shocking, I guess. But I think it'll be cool to like go through everything that happened with Pee Wee, and how influential Pee Wee's Playhouse really was. There's a lot of artists and designers and stuff that made their careers through there. What he did in the 90s and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, not the show, and everything like that. I think that will be a good documentary. I think the Safdie brothers are smart to do that. I think that'll be good for them. Also, Michael B. Jordan, it is finally announced, we heard rumors, will be directing Creed 3. I think this sort of makes sense. Sylvester Stallone directed a lot of the Rocky movies. This is Michael B. Jordan's big franchise. I don't think 2 was not as good, and I think he's been very active in his production company and producing, and he has a lot of ideas and opinions as a movie star, so I think this is probably a good idea for him. I'm curious what his take is going to be. My one thing with Creed, and I really like the first 2 Creed movies, is it felt like it's too beholden to the Rocky franchise, and I think this will be a good way to kind of make it more of a Creed franchise. So that'll be good. And then 2 things before we get to... I don't have really an obit this time, but we do have a comment of the week, actually. But before we get to that, so we finally saw something of what Seth MacFarlane's Flintstones look like, and it looked like sort of what you thought. Pan was saying it looked like a background artist was wearing in their background. They just sort of put kind of like stock ones in there, and they weren't the finalized designs, but it sort of was just like, okay, so it's just going to look like Flintstone Family Guy, which to me is like a good reason not to do it, really. So it didn't really look as surprising for me. Oh, broke. Knowing Lawrence Fishburne is Morpheus. Woke. Knowing Lawrence Fishburne is Cowboy Curtis. True. True. Cheers to you. Cheers to you, Ryan. Insane Powers. You think he'll be a better director than Stallone for Michael B? I don't know because I don't know if he's directed any shorts or anything. I was wondering that, but I think he could be. But still, I don't think Stallone's as bad as people make him out to be. Stallone did write Rocky. Michael B didn't write Creed, so I think that'll be a little different. But we'll see. I'm curious. I welcome it. I really like Michael B, as you guys probably know. But cheers to Zane Powers. And I heard a spoiler that Creed, big rival in Creed 3, is Paulie's Robot Butler. Oh my god, I would love that. Discount, viscount, cheers to you. That was great. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for the super chats tonight. We're running a little long. Kind of almost, well, anyway. So the Razzie nominations. Let's get to those. So I will say the Razzie nominations, the problem with the Razzies, they never pick, like, Artemis Fowl wasn't in there. They never pick Norm of the North, I've noticed. They're not really good at picking worst movies, but the people they decided to pick on, I'm sort of okay with. They did nominate, a lot of Doolittle, which is, makes sense. Fantasy Island, which I totally forgot about. Music, Absolute Proof, which is the My Pillow Guys movie about, like, the election fraud, which good to knock on that. I totally forget what 365 Days is, but we seem to pick on regular, Adam Sandler stuff. I don't think Kevin James got a nomination, guys. I'm sorry. Chevy Chase got one. Rudy Giuliani for Borat, which is kind of funny. It just, I don't know. Some of it is just sort of mean, like particularly like the what was it? Who was it? Who was mean? I thought Kristen Wiig in 1984, Wonder Woman 1994. I thought was bad. Wasn't an amazing idea, frankly. I don't mind the Sia stuff, and some of it. It's just like they need to be better. But this was like an actual better list from them than I've seen in a long time. So I'll give them some credit for that. That's almost why I made the thumbnail for the Razzies this time, because I did think that this is actually one that was like, all right, you guys didn't like suck. Usually they're like, the Razzies are bad at being the bad award show, but this time I was like, all right, you're like not as bad as usual, so I'll give you some credit there. What? That's what 300. It's a 50 Shades fanfic. That's what 365 Days. That sounds stupid. Why would you even? Whatever. All right, so we don't actually have obits this week, but unless I forgot someone, which I'm sure you guys will let me know. But I want to do this new thing where I do comment of the week. Basically, what this is going to be is I will pick a comment that is a fairly oh, here we go. Oh, the Spirit thing. I forgot about that. Daniel Vasquez, hey Jim, there's a teaser for Spirit Untamed and a teaser for Paw Patrol the movie, and my reaction to both trailers is they exist, from Daniel Vasquez. That was kind of my reaction. Cheers to you. On Spirit. I know Sophie watches some of them sometimes, but I just sort of like, it's sort of a thing I don't want to comment on and hate on too much, because it's sort of like, it's very much a thing little girls really like, and I know people, especially guys on YouTube, like to shit on that and be like, oh, that's so stupid, like little girls liking their stuff. And it's sort of fine. I saw it, I was like, this is probably why I kept forgetting about it, because it just wasn't passion inducing, much like what Daniel Vasquez said. But thank you for the super chat, Daniel Vasquez. That's really true. It's like, oh, this exists, and you kind of move on, don't think about it after that. But anyway, so the comment of the week, basically what I want to do with this is sometimes I get interesting comments from my Lost Film Files, interesting discussions, things like that. I want to focus on these because there are some really cool comments. This one was from a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago, but it's kind of the one I wanted to repeat, so I'm wanting to do that. But it was from actually my part 2 of my auteur theory video. This is a newer comment. It doesn't mean it has to be a newer video, but it has to be just a newer comment, just to be clear. It can be on any video, really. But Lansky, okay, I'll get to Nat and Box. I'll get to yours after this. Lansky says, uh, watching this after an administration, basically, I had this auteur theory part two, the class, basically, the class system of cinema kind of thing. It said, watching this after an administration that highlighted all the classism running through my country's very identity. It's sad that something as fulfilling and supposedly humane like the arts has just as many casts as any other businesses. Subconscious measures to ensure that power is held and maintained by a select few for ultimately arbitrary reasons. In the end, the effect is like that of defenders and apologists of the American dream, people who will likely never reap whatever rewards this system theory provides, defending it tooth and nail as a truth to live and die by. At present, I want to make things that I can hang my hat on with the ideal bonus of positively impacting those around me if I don't get that into that specific club. Yeah, I what I like about that, and if you didn't know, so I have my two auteur theory videos, and usually what is auteur theory is played in film schools and things like that. But the second part often is not, which talks about my problems with auteur theory. And what I liked about this is bringing up the problems with that, which is something people should have problems with, because I do think, as much as I think you should understand auteur theory, I do think people are a little too beholden to it. And I sort of made the second one to point out that there is a whole class system where, like, this director is of note, so it's more important, and even their, like, lesser works are considered important. I don't like that system at all, and I liked what this person said. So anyway, if you see anyone just watch the first one, please watch the second one. I know the views on part two are not as much as the first, but Nattenbach64 said, did you know that Rudy Giuliani was the host of the Mob Movie Marathon on AMC, the channel, many years ago? Yes, I did. I think, was that in John Oliver or something? I don't know where that was, but cheers to you, Nattenbach64. Thank you for all the super chats tonight. All right, so I'm going to use the bathroom real quick, and then I will be back and do Jay and Silent Bob's video stash, and then after that do the vegetable soup Jim Simon short, and then we'll do questions and all that. But first, I'm going to post a picture. Sorry, this is from Ace the Wind Rider. If you guys would like to have and this is of Jim Jr., if you guys would like to have a fan art during the part where I take a break, basically just send me something on Twitter or any other means, and I will feature it. It doesn't always have to be Ace the Wind Rider. He's just very consistent with highlighting this. But follow Ace the Wind Rider. He has good stuff. We do Flicks Fridays where we answer questions. He sends me questions and I answer them and all that. But anyway, here's the picture, and I will be right back. Yep. Picking up cards. That's what I'm doing first. Hold on. Oh, I remember Together. Does anyone remember that? Alright. Let's do... See, I'm Cool Shades Jim now. This should just be the... I got these at MomoCon 2019. Yeah. What's good, my snoogans? Okay, anyway. See? This is cool. I'm hip with the kids. Alright. I saw, like, Casey Neistat wears sunglasses, and he said because you never know where his eyes are, so it makes you look like you're looking at the camera, but I'm not cool as him. Anyway, or not as big as him, I guess. Alright, let's just get into the segments. It was getting late. Who's that cool Shrek hipster? They're really just Geico sunglasses. I got it. Oh god. That's really I shouldn't wear them because I would definitely fall asleep and you'd just see me snoring on stream. Maybe I'd wake up and I'd be like, wait, what happened? It's 3 a.m. and people are still here. Alright, Joe, you're the rarest dude I know. Oh my god. Alright, thank you, Ace. Oh, look, there's Marley. How's it going? Yes, I did get a haircut. I did. It was, by the way, very safe haircut. I want to preface that. Alright, let's get into, I didn't know you got, I forgot there was plushes. I kind of remember that. See, Nathaniel Foga knows that there was a Geico thing in 2019. Oh god. Anyway, sorry. I'm a little loopy. I'm gonna have to take a swig of Red Bull after this. Best stream ever. But anyway, everyone should follow Ace the Wind Rider. Thank you for the fan art and that. But first, of the 2 segments tonight, can we get an Awooga? Awooga? Thank you, Barley, for starting that. I did talk about the Paw Patrol thing at the beginning of the show. I've noticed a lot of people. Should I just talk about? I should just be like the news. Like I'm like the weather, but I just talk about Paw Patrol movie trailers every 15 minutes. Cheers to everyone. So, Jay and Silent Bob's video stash. What is this exactly? So this is not, my other segments for Kevin Smith stuff have been connected to various movies. And, the Mallrats special, the Clerks TV pilot, things of that nature. Medell Butterfly, thank you for the $1 super chat. Cheers to you. If there's something you wanted to say, please let me know. But if not, the $1 is still appreciated. Cheers to you. This wasn't tied to a movie. It was like a year, I think it was 98, after Chasing Amy. But basically what it was is MTV asked basically Jay and Silent Bob to make little kind of interstitial short kind of MTV station ID things for them. And they made quite a few of them, but this was kind of the special to introduce that these would currently be airing on MTV. Now, this was not the MTV of the late 90s with TRL and stuff like that. This was about a year before, and MTV at that time was really sort of lost. Like, there wasn't... Puffy was sort of taking over MTV. You're getting sort of more hip-hop, but they weren't really sure. Boy bands hadn't really hit yet, at least on MTV. They were on the radio and things, but they weren't... I watched a lot of MTV, and trust me, they weren't... They would later, a lot. But this special was to introduce those little shorts, and it has Jay and Silent Bob in Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash talking about basically MTV stuff, playing videos, things like that. I taped this at the time. I've since lost that tape in some sort of nonsense, but at the same time, you can't actually find this. It's not on YouTube. I didn't search on Dailymotion actually, but I couldn't find it when I searched anywhere except on the View Askew website, where you could download real player clips. So I had to actually get VLC player, to download them and put them in a certain order to remember that. And I actually remember when people, my friends who didn't have MTV would try to watch it that way and actually have me come over to show my recording of it from MTV. Thank you for the super chat, Sinram. It's okay that you're so late. Cheers to you. You have a lot going on tonight, so it's cool. But thank you for being here. I've not gotten Sinram as the Patreon question tonight. Cheers to you. But anyway, I might just do one segment tonight. It's getting kind of late. Yeah, that might be what we do. Anyway, but the special itself is kind of not really as interesting as you'd think it would be. They sort of just play random videos and sort of talk over them. But Jay and Silent Bob are not media trained clearly yet. Kevin Smith is noticeably not the person you see at Comic-Con talking about, interviewing people, having all this presence. He's like, hey, yeah, I like MTV. I like this Alanis Morissette video because it's just her face and it like says something about being real and things like that. And I'm just like, it's weird because I'd seen this a bunch of times because like anyone I knew like Kevin Smith wanted to see the special, and to me that was Kevin Smith. But watching it now, I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? That's not the Kevin Smith. I want to, like, who the what? It was just, that part's very strange. I recommend it if you like that era because it is definitely a throwback. The segments themselves, a lot of them aren't really that funny, to be honest with you, but some of them that were there was one where they're playing like Beautiful People, and Jay comes out and goes, the beautiful people, and like does this dumb thing and has like contacts in his eyes, and he like messes up and one hits him in the brain and stuff. That part's really funny. There was also one that I'm not sure, I will say, if this started this marathon that would happen on MTV. They were told there was going to be a marathon, or the spot itself inspired the marathon. I don't know the history or the origins of that, but they do one like, I liked MTV when it had twisted puppets and sick ass cartoons basically. And then later, like almost a year later, they did do that marathon and played that Jay and Silent Bob little segment quite a few times. So I don't know if they brought on like a really cool animation weekend of MTV in the late 90s, but they at least like made that short and were a part of that, which I think is pretty cool. Additionally, they did one that was like I Want My MTV thing, where like Matt Damon's actually in it, because if you didn't know, Kevin Smith hooked up Harvey Weinstein with Matt Damon and got Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and got Good Will Hunting. He's an executive producer on Good Will Hunting with Scott Mosier, I believe. And so in it, like, they're in a department store, and Matt Damon shows up, and he's like, I'm here for a cable connection. You see Jay and Silent Bob. They're like, I want my MTV, Nugga Nooch. And I always thought that was like the best, like most professional actually of all the little shorts he made, like very much like a commercial. And I like very rarely saw it on MTV, despite having Matt Damon, like right when like Rounders and like all these big Matt Damon movies are happening, they like did not play that much. I mean, maybe they did on times I wasn't watching TV, but it's like if I was MTV and I had Matt Damon in the late 90s in my segment, I would like play that every day. Like, I don't know why they didn't. I don't know if Matt Damon said you can only air it once. I have no clue. Like, I'm not accusing him of anything. It's just, I always wonder why they didn't. They did play the one where Jay's like talking about like having sex with like every female singer, and it's like various puns on that. And they did actually air this. They did air certain spots a lot. Others they didn't. Ones you just see randomly, like them imagining like a magical comic book store they owned and stuff like that. It's stuff. It's I don't know. It's kind of interesting because it's a weird time for Jay and Silent Bob, because it's like before Dogma, and you just hear rumors about Dogma at that time. So at that time, all I heard about that was that Jay and Silent Bob would be dead in it, which is sort of not true. But yeah, I enjoy this special because I have a lot of memories tied to it. I don't think I don't think it's like an amazing special, but it's sort of like a weird one where you can tell Kevin Smith is not into doing this special. But I will say, so many film kids at the time, and even on like message boards and stuff, were obsessed with this special because no one would travel out to the secret stash, and there was no like real internet except for a few pictures of it, and it looked so cool. Now it's not as cool because it's Kevin Smith. Any girl who's in frame, he's like, "Oh, you ever been with some famous guys? Ha ha." But then they reject him, which I guess is ages well. But it's kind of just an interesting era for those two characters because everyone knew they were kind of like kids like them, and they were had this indie coolness, which seems totally bizarre, but like for real, like Chainsaw Bap had art movie cred. It sounds like a joke. They really did. It was like they were on Indie Filmmaker magazine, all that stuff, and I'm sure that's why they wanted to use them. But they seem like such jokes. I like the black and white one they made, like Clerks. They did try to make them shoot them in different ways. It was probably more aesthetically pleasing than you really got from Kevin Smith at the time. But it's mainly just a weird little special and weird little era of MTV station IDs that Jay and Silent Bob were involved in. And the whole cult of Kevin Smith in the 90s was very much into. And a weird era of MTV, which as soon as Carson Daly sort of showed up, would immediately go away and never veer its head ever again. I mean, this is when MTV had a Best New Filmmaker at the MTV Movie Awards, so you can tell it was massively different at the time. But this kind of just reminds me of 1998 and, you know, turning on MTV and replaying this special for as many friends as humanly possible who wanted to see it, and thinking, like, these guys were so cool. Now I just think they're two guys who have literally no camera personality, showing off, you know, how they just probably got a big check to make some, you know, commercials for a cable channel. It kind of shows like that it kind of shows you, the beginning of the promise of Kevin Smith as a personality and how he could use that later on. All right. It is late, and I think I have run out of time for vegetable soup. But I kind of want to just do it. How many notes do I have on this? Let's just do it. We're going to run late tonight. I hope everyone's cool with that. So, vegetable soup. This is another review of a Jim Simon short, who Jim Simon and Want To Productions. This, much like what I talked about, Hey Diddle Diddle, his other short, I'm not exactly 100% sure where this aired. It seems Electric Company. It could be Sesame Street as well. Basically, it's like this kind of nice, like, wooden spoon character who's going to explain how to make vegetable soup with rice and how to cook the rice all special and get the best flavor and everything. It's like this happy rice character, but it's got this cool bass line and drums going on to it. And it kind of shows you what I like about this production company, because they will take something that is a total, or the studio, Want To Productions, that'll take a total, did someone say hi, sexy? Oh, hello, thank you. Early 90s was the best decade for MTV. But anyway, sorry. What I like about the studio is they'll take something that's a normal kind of kids thing and hip it up and make it look really cool. And to take this like very boring vocally tone, like Wooden Spoon, who's like going to explain it, make it into like funky and like add cool character designs. There's so many times with this is just explaining how to make vegetable soup with rice and everything, is they have a cool character design for like no reason other than it's aesthetically pleasing and neat, that they have like so many like really cool touches to it that I think shows you like what I really like about this studio is they will take kind of a normal thing that I think nowadays you'd animate very plainly and add so much style and flavor to it. You almost like really care about vegetable soup. Like you want to appreciate the animation as much as like I was like, it's interesting like how much detail, like it's clear like they like soup and they want you to care about it, but it's also almost a parody of these kind of normal kids things where like let's have this happy person kind of thing, but like let's have funk under it. But it's not really necessarily a parody in terms of making fun of it. It's like a parody in terms of like, well, let's not make this all speed, let's make this funkier and show some flavor to it and have this person explain it. And it feels like almost like a skit on a funk record or something, but it's like really a way to show you vegetable soup. And I just really, that's one of the things I really like about Jim Simon and Wantu Productions is they just add so much pizzazz to these things, like, and they hip them up and they make them 70s, much like Hey Diddle Diddle. Let's make it into a cat band from the 70s, like is the Grateful Dead. Let's make this into like a funky, cool way to actually get you into vegetable soup, and it shows, I think, what I like about his studio and him as an animator is he adds so much flavor to it. You kind of know there's a personality there. You know they really care about this, but you also know they want to entertain you at the same time. And I think this one had a really unique flavor to it because I think a lot of them he more cares about doing it in a completely different way. This is like, let's do this straight, but let's do it the Wantu Productions way. Let's do it the Jim Simon way of showing you vegetable soup, and that makes it extremely. That makes it way cooler than it has any. Sorry, and that makes it. Sorry. And that makes it a hell of a lot cooler than it has any right to be. But it feels like they like almost force it and make it to be because they were such cool animators. How could it not be? Okay, there we go. I actually don't know when we're gonna get these segments as videos, but hey, I shot them, so there we go. But I hope you enjoyed my Jim Simon thing. It's kind of like a project, a weird project I'm working on. I assure you all, I like Cinderam's here to tell the kids. I assure you all, MTV's was indeed best in the 90s until the Spice Girls showed up. I would, yeah, around that era it kind of fell off. I think there's certain parts to like, and then it really fell off when the reality stuff hit. I think that's when it absolutely fell off. There were some good eras after that, but in terms of like you just have it on incessantly, I feel like the later 90s really hit it. All right, so questions. Let's get to Sinram's question. He has the only Patreon question this week, which was, when it comes to comic book derived movies, I'm less concerned with fidelity to the original character traits than I am with intelligent, well-structured writing. I would enjoy the Zack Snyder-driven DC films a lot more, despite the aspects of Bruce Wayne's or Superman's behavior that so many comic fans object to, if they just weren't so stupid. Since you seem to be much more of a comic book fan than I am, I take it you fall into the respect the source material group, or am I wrong? It depends. I understand for a while that there's certain, I think, corners they have to cut to get the source material to work. But I also understand there's certain times source material won't work because there's continuity you have to set up and things like that. And I think like the DC animated things can do very direct adaptations. I like direct adaptations at some points, but I don't think you necessarily have to do that. There's certain things about the MCU that aren't one-in-one or things like that. I'm more of, I want the movie to be good. Use the source material to make the movie good, but if you do it in a way that you're like, yeah, but that actually would have been a lot better if you actually, understood the source material, then I will say that. But to me, it's more about the movie being good overall. And, if you're not adapting the right character and make it into something else, I do sort of object to that because I'm like, well, what's the point of you doing that then? So I think I'm more about just making it a good experience, because I think there's certain Batman things if you adapt in a way wouldn't be good, a certain way you would, but I like it if they actually, are respectful to the thing they're actually making a movie of. So I think that's probably more of the thing. I hope I answered that right, Sinram. All right, let's get to the questions. I think cornbread is the first question, but question, should we start or release the Wolfman cut to get the theatrical cut of Star Wars A New Hope released on Disney Plus? Ooh, that took a turn. I think that should happen. I was talking about some of this today, and to my understanding, like, there is something blocking it that they won't get into, and even J.J. Abrams tried, and he's a lot more powerful than any of us, at least. And I've even read he really raised a stink about it, and they really wouldn't budge on it. So I don't think that'll happen, but to me, that raises a good question. If you're Disney Plus on the day that Release the Snyder Cut happens, could you not destroy its publicity if you just said, we will be releasing the despecialized cuts of the original Star Wars trilogy? And there's actual different cuts of the prequels too, if you wanted to really get into it. And they're like, we will release all the cuts of Star Wars on, May the 4th be with you or whatever, and just release a trailer, that would destroy the Snyder Cut if they wanted to. If they wanted to, but I don't think they will. But if I were them and I just said this, then, I feel like they should. I think people would really like that. I actually think when I'm going to show Sophie Star Wars, I'm going to have to, get a bootleg or something. So I think they should think about that. Zane Powers. So last year you gave us a glimpse of what it'd be like if Creech hosted the Oscars. This year, can you give us a glimpse? What would happen if Mulch Jacobs hosted the Oscars? I think it would just be like Josh Gad going well, Nomadland is an interesting portrayal of nomads in America. So I think that's how it would be. I don't know. Please watch the Max. I know that's not a question, but Jaden K is right. Nattenbach64, did you know that Duke Nukem 3D is now 25? No, but thank you. I feel old now. Sleepy Time 4Cat Productions. Why was Kristen Slater in Star Trek 6? I'm sure because he liked that show. Ace the Wind Rider, you have superpowers. What's the name for your special attack? It would be the Gym Slam, I guess. Does that work? Make that into some fan art, maybe. Austin, why is the giant rat from the Star Wars Christmas special better than Wolfman in the Cantina? Austin, I'm not getting into this. Wolfman is way better. How dare you get me into drama with cornbread? Zane Powers, do you think characters who refuse to kill or don't like violence are weak-willed or cowards? No, I don't. I actually think that shows a lot of strength. Do not go, to sacrifice sometimes is a lot stronger than to just go right into the worst case scenario. So I don't agree with that. Jordan Salaflo, are movie makeovers sexist? Depends on how they're used, I would say. Depends on how they're used. Cornbread, does the movie Crap Live March 2021 Razzies thumbnail count as lost media now? I guess it does. Do you want me to post it in the Discord? Maybe I will, to preserve it for all time. Bruce Parker, should Johnny Bravo be brought back as his female variant, Jenny Bravo? I think that would actually be cool, so yes. TuneJ723, favorite clip show episode? Oh, The Simpsons, 138th or 34th, whatever that is, I would say that one. Jaden K, have you seen the anthology film 4 Rooms with guest directors Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino? Yes, I saw it on video. I rented it from Blockbuster. If I ever do a Tarantino or Rodriguez series, I will review it at some point. Zondenberg, Jim, will we see Slick Boy Jimmy again this April? There is something planned for this April. Do not worry. I don't know if you'll see Slick Boy Jimmy. He'll come back at some point. Nathaniel Foga, best adaptation of an Alan Moore comic. Maybe that Knock Force episode, probably that. Vegetable soup, it's just freaking vegetable soup. That's funny. Cornbread, what do you think about Infinity Train finishing its story through comics? It's not too unreasonable since almost all of CN shows these past 10 years all had comics. I think it could happen. I think you'd have to make sure the cult was big enough to sustain that. Disco Spider, what year did you stop reading new comics regularly, and what's the most notable comics you kept from your childhood? That's a good question. I would say, let's say 97. I was reading 8-Ball. I was reading Bone. I wasn't reading as many of the Marvel, because then you got, I don't know. I need to actually read the, was it Grant Morrison X-Men? That's been something I've been meaning to do for a long time, actually. And even though I, in the meantime, just kept rereading the Claremont run because I'm a dork. But yeah, I'd say 97, it really stopped for me, even though I'd go with my dad to the comic book store because the school I went to had a half day on Wednesdays. So I'd end up going a lot and seeing what was going on. But then I'd be reading weirder comics, and then I really stopped when I went to that school anymore. And then I picked it up again, the Knock Force one where it was he's wearing a black suit again. I was reading comics then. I don't really read them now, and I don't know if I could keep up with them, but part of me would like to, just because I like the comic store vibe. So, most notable, most of them my dad has, so they're really my dad's. I have all my Tick comics. I have all my 8-Ball comics. I have my Jay and Silent Bob signed comics. So I guess those would be those. Anyway, that was a good question, Disco Spider. Not plausible. Dunkachino makes no sense. If he really changed his name from Al to Dunk, he'd be called Dunk Pacino. That's true. I'm not. That's a statement, really. Zane Powers, can we see you guilt people for not doing absolutely everything they can to support you? What? No, I hate when people do that. Like, have you ever seen people go, if everyone who watched my video gave me $1, then like I could quit my job, and it's like your fault. I can't. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I don't agree with that. I think it's like when people do that, I think it's very. I don't know. I feel very personally. I feel very kind of emotional asking for money online just because I feel like very like raw in trying to do that. I don't know. I find it when people do that so presumptive because some people don't have the money. Some people don't feel that passionate about your content. You can't demand that. So I know that was a joke, and I took it seriously. But where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? She's actually in Canada right now, Ryan. I'd be careful. Shit. Oh, here we go. Best song of Angelic to the Core. I do not remember any of that album, but cheers to you, Downbox 64. Zane Powers asks, when will you play Dark Souls? Oh, next week. Totally. Sorry, I did skip over people. You say you're not a gamer, like you say you're not a brony, yet both communities consider you one of them. I don't think the gamers consider me one of them. No. Any comments on what's going on with The Bachelor? I think that guy's racist. Question, your pitch for Jaws 19. I did have a reboot pitch where it was basically just like the Brody grandson comes back, and it sort of starts as a remake of the original Jaws, and you find out it's like a mega Jaws, and it takes like this crazy turn. So do you put the milk first or the cereal? I put the cereal first, Javier. Nathaniel Fogo, what would you want to see happen if the Muppets got another movie? I would think they should just keep adapting classic literature. I think that worked for them. Would WandaVision get renewed for another season from Sudden Suzuki? I don't think that'll happen just because I don't see how you that would be weird. I think it's just a one and done. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I don't see why you couldn't keep doing though, but I haven't seen that show, so I don't know. How do you feel about the Alita Battle movie Angel? How do you feel about the Alita Battle Angel movie? I did a review of it, so I would watch that. I remember it was not as passionate, but I was fine with it. Zane Powers, did Disney sabotage the Muppets by putting it up during the midst of WandaVision? No, I don't. I've heard people say that, but I don't agree with that. I think that helps because you're already there. If they put it on a weekend where most people weren't, that wouldn't help. I heard that with Raya and the Last Dragon too, and I don't know if I fully agree with that. But favorite Looney Tunes show? I love Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries from Adele Butterfly. I just like the ones that show the cartoons, so I don't have. I don't have a favorite show as much, unfortunately. Pig Pancake asks, would a Venture Brothers Kids Next Door crossover work on HBO Max, and would you watch it? Oh my god, that sounds amazing. Will they release the Batman Forever director's cut from Black Sea Oxywinkle? I don't think they will, but that sounds awesome. I'm just going to answer a few more, and then I think we should end it. Mblood T, not really a question, but I'm soon uploading a Snyder Cut animation trailer with Pizza Party Podcast. We want to hope it's done before Justice League gets released. I hope it does too. What's your favorite underground comic? Disco Spider, probably 8-Ball, I would say. Nathaniel Fogo, do you have any anticipation for Space Jam: A New Legacy? No, not too much. Why is Salty DK Dan a coward and still haven't done Alf yet? From Austin, I have no clue. What kind of dishes do you prefer? Clean ones? Was that a Josh Gad voice, or was that Randy Savage? From Ryan. That's funny. Favorite Iron Maiden album? I could not tell you at this point. I just know like certain songs, fortunately. Let's see. Let me find somebody I haven't done. Nat and Bucks. Favorite Oliver Stone film? Probably Platoon, because I'm basic. What is postmodernism? Well, you'll be fucked up real quick. Discuss Spider, if that's what we're doing there. Talk radio's alright too. I don't know. I'd say Platoon. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Platoon. I don't. Sorry. Would you answer all the questions if one of us mods made an endpoint for you? No. It's more just I run out of steam. It's the end of the show. I'm sorry. Would you say? What would you say is Heathcliff's weakness? Bruce Parker, probably Garfield. Jim Jr. game review. Yeah, that I'm not against. No Tasmania love. I did watch Tasmania, so you're right. And yeah. All right. So I think good night, Jim. I'm going to turn it. Oh, good night, Austin. But I'm ending the show anyway. Anyway, thank you all for being here tonight. It was a nice night hanging out with you guys. Sorry we went a little late. I will do something for the Oscar nominations. Check Discord or my community tabs basically to see check Discord, my Twitter, or community tabs to see an actual time on that, or you can watch it later. There'll just be a separate stream, and we will be back next Saturday with another Movie Crap Live, which will probably just be spare Oscar nomination stuff, and I won't do much more than a segment on it. So if you just want to hear me talk about Oscar nominations, I will do 3 separate streams for the Oscars, which will be nominations, announcements, predictions, and reaction to the show itself. This week I will have Raya and the Last Dragon review. Probably the Gorillas review will be tomorrow night, the Space Monkeys one, and maybe Video Stash this week. We'll see about that one. And also things like, I think I'll do the best things I watched in 2021 actually, instead of top 10 of, or 2020, sorry, best things I watched in 2020, which will be sort of a loose list because 2020 top 10s are confusing. Anyway, it'll be an exciting week, I think, but thank you all very much for watching. Not much other side things came out this week. Nothing I worked on for Saber or Spyscape or anything like that, but it was a great week, and it was nice to cap it off with all y'all right now. I hope you all have a good night, and subscribe if you would like to. And subscribe if you would like to. Have a good night, everybody.